I said no, hey, yeah.
Hi, welcome to another episode of Brick and Mortar, our special episode.
We have lots of special episodes. That's because we're special, Matt. We're
so
very special.
special.
We did have a special episode recently that took a look at back to school night.
Yep.
And buckle your seatbelts. We're going to have one soon about what the best advice teachers offer for parent conferences, which often come up at the end of the first quarter.
Yes.
So stand by for that. That's around the corner.
Yep.
But this is another special episode, and the reason it's special is because this one has just Matt and I on it.
Yeah, we get to bebop and scat our way through this. Just remind you, I'm Matt Gressick and my co-host Eric Ebersol.
Thank you.
This. And
We didn't really do that.
Yeah, we didn't do that. We're just so excited to get to it. The 5 for 15 and reviewing our previous 5 episodes and our 5 shows and trying to just dig a little deeper and ask and reflect about what we covered.
We did this for our first 5 episodes, and Matt liked the title. I think it's bit off of ESPN.
30, yeah.
30 for 30.
30 for 30.
He calls
yeah.
it 5 for 15 because we're going to try to keep this to 15 minutes. So this is 5 more for 15 more.
Yes, it is. And we're going to go through today just a review. We're going to go through Ivory Smith, Eric Luedtke, Becca Doring, Rachel Valsing, and Tricia Collins-McCarthy, and then finally Cheryl Pasteur.
Okay, so our first episode.
Our first episode of this series, Ivory Smith. I'm going to talk a little bit first about Ivory because Ivory just got an award for Education Support Professional of the Year.
Called ESPs.
ESPs for short, and it's awesome. It's well-deserved. He is a leader in the state of Maryland, and it was really cool because it's all about those touches that students have all throughout the day, and like given the fact that we are missing bus drivers and a lot of people that have affected our schools, particularly my school, it's relevant.
And I think my observation here, the thing I took away, and I kind of knew it, but Ivory stressed it out because Ivory's a custodian. Mm-hmm. I often think of ESPs as being paraeducators, but there's a whole lot of people who are very serious about their jobs that are the foundation of the school. They're holding it up. Custodians, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, as you said, and they are as dedicated to making sure that education runs smoothly as teachers and paraeducators, people in the front office. There's a whole structure out there. And Ivory was thoughtful and gentle, but also very concerned about children.
Yeah. And recently there was a question, and this happened in my think tank work about, teachers feeling left out with all this discussion about the ESP Bill of Rights, which is going to be a major issue coming up, and please support that, and that they're feeling left out. And my perspective of that as a teacher is this needs to be communicated that the ESP Bill of Rights is basic rights that teachers already are getting. And this is something that we need to do to help all boats rise. And it's not pie.
Right.
Let's understand. It is not pie. These are human rights that education support professionals deserve, and they should have already got a long time ago.
And ESPs, we've had legislation to try to include them in some of the salary things that the blueprint involves itself in. And I think it's very important for us to increase their rights and their benefits and their pay, because as a teacher, I recognize that switching ESPs, even custodians, the paraeducators that worked with me in my classroom, it takes a lot of bandwidth for them to learn the school. And if they are there consistently, it makes that much more consistency, if you will, in how things go. And so it's very important for us to not just honor them, but value them.
Exactly. All right, moving on. Let's go to Eric Luedtke.
Oh, Eric Luedtke. Eric Luedtke walks in the snow, and I put my footprints in right behind him. I followed him as a teacher and as a legislator.
With your name?
Yeah, right. With my name. I was the other Eric for many years. Now he's out of the legislature, so maybe...
Does every Eric have to be involved with education?
I think so. I think it's a rule.
And so Luedtke, we were definitely geeking out about history and teaching accurate history and reflecting on that and how important it is for us to grow as people, and to be a little uncomfortable is a good thing.
Yes.
is a good
Yes,
thing.
and because we begin to recognize parts of our history that need to be highlighted, we shouldn't be afraid to add them in to that history. And we're talking about, he talked about slavery and how books used to say that slaves were treated well because they were fed, and really that's pretty clearly inaccurate.
Look at
And
you,
so,
Florida.
And if we right, so he says, we need to be willing to adjust to be accurate at the same time. And overall, I heard from him that, one of our goals in education is to make students not who necessarily can take tests very well. And he talked about memorizing facts, but really ones who will be able to perform in society in a meaningful way. And one of the ways to do that is to understand your history.
Yep.
And so I think, looking out, if these students are critical thinkers and can think ahead, then I think it's really valuable.
Well, and teachers right now are being fired for including the Diary of Anne Frank
Right.
in their curriculum, and this is just, I didn't think I would live in a country that would happen.
Right.
And it's just, and that was very relevant, which leads us right into Becca.
Yeah, Becca Doring, who is my daughter, let's be clear here. It makes me very sad because of my 3 children, 2 of them chose to follow me in teaching. Mm-hmm. One still is. And Becca, I believe, is on her way out.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that, again, it goes into just trusting our educators to provide the best of themselves for our students.
And Becca said something super valuable during her interview. She said she's got a new part-time job along with a business that she's running, photography business. There's my plug for her. And so, so she said in her other job, sorry about that. In her other job, if she has a task to perform, they say, okay, well, will you get it done? And she says, yeah, I'll get it done. And that's that. She doesn't check off any paperwork.
Yeah.
They see it get done. She said the weight of the accountability that she has to give, not just for teaching students, but for all of the boxes she has to check, it's not only heavy weight, it also makes her feel untrusted.
Yes.
And so this is the lack of trust in teachers to do their job and to do it well is really wearing teachers down. And this is kind of what Luedtke said, there's lack of trust there, but it's a general lack of trust.
Yeah.
And people like Becca leaving, to me, is the beginning of what I think might be a plan to dismantle public education.
Yeah.
And it's worrying me.
Yeah, and it should be the canary in the coal mine that is there saying that, this is a definite attack on the institution of public education that this democracy needs. We need it. Because where else are you going to have people growing up, coming from different backgrounds, and talking through issues and problems together? And if you censor that discussion, you're hurting us, and you're hurting this country, and you're hurting the future of our country.
And people who've come to teach because they want to do the best they can for our kids are feeling like they're being held down from doing that. They can't really... Teachers have lots of different ways of going about things, and they really feel like they're being... we're pounding pegs into holes here for sure. So,
well, we're going from sad here to, I think, very happy.
It's a great one.
and that's the community schools discussion between with Rachel Valsing and Tricia Collins-McCarthy.
From Johnny Cake.
Johnny
which
Cake.
We want to point out is one word.
Yes. I accidentally put it on as 2.
Thanks,
I
there.
apologize.
I think they both pointed this out to us, right?
Yes. My deep apologies for that. I would like to blame autocorrect on that one. But yes, it was just 2 phenomenal leaders and change makers, and just making the world a better place for kids, and doing everything they can for their community to meet those kids where they're at, and then bring them up.
It's funny you say that, because that's what I have also in my mind, is that meet students where they are. We've always been asked to do that educationally. As a math teacher, I was supposed to figure out where they were and teach them from there, not necessarily plow ahead with my lesson, which, by the way, goes back to Becca and being able to be flexible and all that sort of thing. But community schools meet students where they are in their social lives overall. They talked about getting a bike rack installed at the school. This is something those students needed. It was meeting them at a need they were. And I think it broadens that concept.
Yes. And I was asked recently, well, if community schools are so great, why aren't they everywhere? And it comes down, of course, to dollars and cents.
Right, and it's a new idea. And we're focusing on schools that have, socioeconomic challenges. These are the schools where the most support is needed for this sort of thing. But I believe they're expanding at a fast rate. And I just think, generally, if a school can offer students what they need, the credibility of what they're offering goes up, especially then, well, if they can do all these things for us, other things, then they can also offer us a good education.
Yes. And that leads us into Cheryl Pasteur, Delegate Cheryl Pasteur.
Former school board member. Baltimore County of Cheryl Pasteur.
Discussed a lot about school boards and what in the ins and outs, what that takes, and the mindset it takes, especially on a contentious school board. And would you like to add some more to that?
Well, Cheryl's a wonderful person with tremendous energy. But when she talked about this, I sensed wear and tear.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
From having been on the board.
Yes.
And I think boards do suffer from a lot of wear and tear. Yeah. And, her overall message was, be rational with us. Yeah. Bringing 30 or 40 people to a meeting to shout and yell may make you feel good and may make you feel like, you can go home and say, we got them. But she said, what's really most effective, and I know this as a legislator too, what's most effective is personal contact. Having coffee with somebody or talking with them on the phone or just emailing back and forth with them.
Like a person.
Like people do. Really is the most valuable and really gives people who have an opinion the most credibility.
Yeah.
And she just said that, the people who would come to me and talk to me were the ones that I understood the best because I could listen to them without the rabble.
Yeah. And this goes into my plug for, if you're part of those few 100 people that listen to this podcast, and especially if you're a retired educator, please consider running for your local Board of Ed. We need people that are rational running for it. There's a group now, Moms for Liberty. I'm going to say them.
Go for it.
And the fact of the matter is they're not good at mothering or liberation. For that matter, and it's one of those things that's a scary group that is funded through dark money, and they would again, we go back to that that suspicion of they're just out to bring down public education and sell off the parts for profit.
Yeah, I really have almost nothing to add to that because I'm not a conspiracy theorist by nature, but
yeah.
I have this bad feeling in my chest about all this right now.
Yeah.
And we are trying to counter it. We're trying to attract more people into the profession. We had the Teacher Shortage Act last year, which offered expanded scholarships and loan forgiveness to teachers if they would commit to the classroom for a couple of years. And then also trying to get interns to be able to survive by offering in the future, a couple of years down the road, stipends for some interns who really need it while they're teaching. Other internships do this.
Yeah.
So we really need to encourage people to come in, but part of that is making sure that education isn't torn down, and that's come up in at least 3 of these interviews.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those things that that's why we try to cut through the despair with gratitude and gratitude. I'm sorry, but that's why we try to do that is to try to re-embrace public education, because I see it as every student that comes through my door, regardless of gender affiliation or sexual orientation or race, color, creed, what have you, I'm going to do my best by them to teach them. And that's something that needs to be saved and cherished.
And you need to be trusted to do it with efficacy, and you can.
Yeah.
I've known many teachers like Matt who really want to do the best and want to do it in an even-handed and fair way to make these kids thinkers.
Mm-hmm. And that's a great way to end.
Yes, it is. And thank you all for listening to us ramble.
Yes.
We'll be back with a guest in a couple of weeks, and we'll look forward to seeing you all downloading us. Thank you very much. Oh, no, that's fine. Thanks for coming.
Take care. Bye.